Have you ever noticed that the voice inside your head is the only one that never leaves you? It follows you in silence when no one else is watching, shaping the way you see yourself, whispering what you can or cannot do. But here's the hidden truth. That voice is not harmless background noise. It is the architect of your reality. There is an old story of a man who wandered through life convinced he was cursed. Every morning he woke up muttering to himself, "Nothing ever works out for me." His friends pitied him, his family avoided his endless complaints, but what he never realized was that his quiet words had already drawn the outline of his future. Like a seed planted in dark soil, his inner speech grew roots beneath the surface until his life began to mirror every sentence he spoke in silence. Misfortune didn't come from outside. It was summoned from within. Now imagine this. What if your inner conversations are like sacred prayers, constantly sent into the unseen world, and the universe answers every single one of them? What if the dialogue you hold in secret is the invisible script of tomorrow? For centuries, mystics have whispered that creation begins not with the hands, but with the word. And the most powerful words are not the ones shouted aloud, but the ones you dare to repeat only in the chambers of your mind. Think about your own hidden dialogue. Do you encourage yourself, or do you replay memories of failure and fear? Could it be that the disappointments you see outside are only echoes of what has been rehearsed inside? What if the very reason your prayers seem unanswered is because your secret speech cancels them before they can blossom? There is a forgotten passage that says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." But the question is, what exactly are you thinking in your heart right now? Because your unseen words are already painting the canvas of your destiny. And here lies the mystery. If changing the world outside you feels impossible, perhaps it is because the true battlefield has never been out there. It has always been inside. Have you ever felt as though the universe was trying to speak to you, but the message was written in a language you couldn't quite understand? You go about your day, trying to live normally, and yet something strange keeps breaking through the noise of ordinary life. A dream that repeats itself night after night, like a scene stuck on rewind. A number that seems to follow you, appearing on the clock, the receipt, the license plate of the car in front of you. A sudden chill that runs down your spine when nothing in the room has changed. A thought that whispers, "Don't go there," just seconds before an accident nearly happens. Most people brush these moments away. They tell themselves it's coincidence, random chance, or the mind playing tricks. But deep down, there's a knowing, a quiet suspicion that something more is unfolding, because it feels too precise, too personal. Almost as if reality itself has bent for a second to place a sign directly in your path. Think about the nights you've woken up at the same exact time, 2:22, 3:33, 4:44. Your eyes opening as if summoned. The room feels heavy, and you wonder if someone, somewhere, is trying to get your attention. Or the dream where the same stranger keeps appearing, speaking words you can't quite remember upon waking, yet leaving behind a lingering sense of urgency that refuses to fade. Or maybe it's the way your body speaks. A sudden tightness in your chest when you walk into a place that feels wrong. A deep calm when you stand in a church or in front of the ocean, even when your life feels like it's falling apart. Your body is not betraying you. It is part of the code. It registers the invisible currents of the spiritual realm, a subtle warning system designed to keep you aligned. And then there are the whispers of memory. You meet someone for the first time, but something in you insists, "I know this soul." You cannot explain why their presence feels both familiar and ancient, as though the meeting was written long before this life began. All of these experiences weave together into something profound. They remind us that our lives are not random stories stitched together by chance. There is a pattern, an unseen thread pulling us through events, encounters, and even our own inner storms. These signs, whether numbers, dreams, sensations, or mysterious coincidences, are not accidents. They are messages, a hidden dialogue, not with another person, but with something far greater. And yet, here is where the pain lies. Most people never learn how to interpret this secret language. They see the signs, but confusion clouds the meaning. They dismiss them as superstition, even while part of their heart longs to believe. Others feel haunted by them, wondering why certain numbers won't leave them alone, why their dreams disturb their peace, why their body seems to know truths their mind cannot accept. This is the silent suffering of the modern soul, to live surrounded by signs but unable to decode them, to walk through life deaf to the very whispers that could have changed its course, and so the person begins to feel lost. Questions multiply in the night. Why do I keep seeing the same patterns? Why do I feel like something is warning me? Why do I sense there is a message, but I can't read it? The truth is, nothing in your life is random. Every repetition, every sensation, every mysterious nudge is part of an ancient conversation. It is the language of the unseen, calling you to wake up. But here lies the hidden key. The signs outside are only reflections of a much deeper dialogue taking place within. If the universe is constantly speaking to us, then the real question is, are we truly listening, or are we trapped inside an inner conversation that blinds us to the meaning? Among all the signs that the universe sends, there is one that rises above the rest. Numbers that repeat, whispering their meaning through the fabric of daily life. You look at the clock, and it says 11:11. Hours later, you glance at a receipt, 22:22. A license plate passes in front of you, 333. You laugh at first, brushing it off as coincidence, but then it happens again and again until the repetition becomes undeniable, as though reality itself is aligning to remind you of something you once knew but forgot. These numbers are not random. They are not just digits. They are codes, ancient markers of divine conversation. In every mystical tradition, numbers carry vibration, and vibration is the fingerprint of creation itself. Long before modern science spoke of frequency and energy, the sages knew the universe speaks in rhythm, in repetition, in harmony. And when a number repeats so insistently, it is not simply appearing, it is calling. Take 11:11, perhaps the most famous of these signs. In biblical terms, the number 1 represents unity, the one God, the one source. To see it doubled, mirrored, is to be reminded of the ancient truth. You and the source are one. It is the veil lifting for a second, the invisible hand pointing to the doorway between the earthly and the divine. Mystics called it the gate, a moment when your inner world and the outer world align perfectly. That instant when you see 11:11 is not just chance. It is a portal, a reminder that your inner dialogue is echoing into reality and returning as a visible sign. Or consider 333, a number woven into both sacred scripture and mystical teachings. It is the number of completion, of the triad repeated, body, mind, spirit, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, past, present, future. Whenever you encounter this sign, it is as though heaven itself is leaning close, whispering, remember that you are not alone. Your path is supported in all realms. For many, 333 shows up during times of despair, when prayers seem unanswered. Yet its meaning is the opposite, that the invisible world is not silent, but surrounding you. Even 444, a number that in many cultures signifies foundation and stability, arrives as a hidden assurance. 4 corners of the earth, 4 winds, 4 gospels. When it repeats, it reminds you to build your inner dialogue on solid ground, for your thoughts are not whispers lost in the void. They are bricks in the house of your destiny. Think about how often these signs arrive when you are doubting yourself. When the voice in your mind is filled with fear or complaint, the universe interrupts you with a symbol, a sequence, a mirror, a code. These numbers are like divine fingerprints on the window of your reality, saying, "Look closer, you are shaping this." The ancients understood what we have forgotten. Pythagoras, the philosopher of numbers, said that all is number. To him, numbers were not abstract. They were alive, carrying the essence of the cosmos. In the Bible, the book of Revelation itself is written with numbers encoded, showing the eternal struggle between light and shadow. And Jesus often spoke in parables that carried hidden numerical patterns, as if to leave behind keys for those who could see. But here lies the forbidden truth. These numbers do not appear to you by chance. They appear because your inner conversation has summoned them. They are mirrors of what you are thinking in silence. If your mind is restless and confused, you may see the numbers as warnings. If your heart is open and trusting, the same numbers arrive as promises. The sign is the same, but its meaning shifts with the state of your inner dialogue. This is why so many people live in confusion. They want the universe to change, while their inner speech remains poisoned with fear, envy, doubt, and resentment. But the spiritual law is clear. As within, so without. To shift the outer world, the first battlefield is not the job, the relationship, or the money. It is the silent dialogue echoing in your own mind. So the first great revelation is this: signs are reflections, not predictions. They do not tell you what will happen. They tell you what your soul is currently speaking into existence. The numbers, the dreams, the mysterious sensations, they are the universe's way of holding up a mirror and asking, do you truly want this to continue? Or are you ready to speak a new reality into being? When you realize this, the fear begins to dissolve. You are no longer a victim of mysterious forces. You are not cursed nor abandoned. You are in conversation with the unseen world every single moment, and your words, spoken or silent, are answered. Every repeated number is a reminder that heaven listens even when your lips are closed. And so, I invite you to pause for a moment. Think of the last time you saw those mysterious digits glowing back at you. What were you thinking in that exact second? What words were playing in the quiet theater of your mind? That was the message, not the number itself, but the dialogue it was reflecting. This knowledge is not for everyone. It is for those who are ready to step beyond superstition and into conscious creation. That is why I encourage you, if this resonates with your soul, if you feel the pull of this hidden wisdom, to join this community. Click like, subscribe, and become part of a circle where these secrets are not only spoken, but lived. Because this is not just information, it is transformation, reserved for those who dare to listen. But there is more. Numbers are only the beginning. Behind them lies a deeper secret, one that explains why some people transform their lives completely while others stay trapped in endless cycles. The real mystery is not only in the signs you see, but in the unseen force that commands them. So I ask you this: if the signs are mirrors of your inner voice, then who exactly is speaking within you? Her name was Anna. At first glance, she looked like anyone else, an ordinary woman carrying the invisible weight of disappointments that had stacked one upon another like heavy stones. She worked long hours at a job she did not love, came home to an empty apartment, and each night fell asleep with the quiet ache of loneliness pressing against her chest. To those who passed her on the street, she looked fine. But inside, Anna's heart was filled with silent questions that no one seemed able to answer. It began with a dream. The first time she thought nothing of it, a simple dream of standing at a train station, watching a train pass without boarding. But then it came again, and again. Night after night, the same dream replayed. Anna at the platform, the train's doors sliding open, her feet frozen, her body unable to move. She would wake up each morning trembling, heart racing, the sound of the train's whistle still echoing in her ears. Around the same time, she began noticing numbers. It started with her alarm clock, 3:33 a.m., always the same. She would wake suddenly, without reason, her room still and silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. At first she laughed nervously. Just coincidence, she told herself. But then she saw 333 again, on a parking ticket, on a receipt, even carved into a wooden bench near her office. The number began to feel less like coincidence and more like a message. One evening, drained from a long day, she sat in her living room staring at the wall. She whispered aloud, "God, if you're real, if you care, give me a sign." The very moment the words left her lips, her phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced down. It was 3:33 a.m. in another time zone, stamped at the top of a message from a friend she hadn't heard from in years. Anna felt a chill spread across her skin. The next night, the dream returned. But this time, it was different. She stood at the train station once again, the whistle blowing, but now she felt warmth at her back, as though someone unseen was urging her forward. For the first time, her foot moved. She stepped onto the train, and then she woke. Tears streamed down her face. Something in her shifted that night. She didn't fully understand what the dream meant, but she knew it wasn't random. From that moment, she began to pay attention. Instead of dismissing the numbers, she wrote them down. Instead of fearing the dream, she asked what it wanted her to see. She started to notice patterns. The days she doubted herself most were the days the numbers appeared more insistently. The mornings she woke heavy with despair, she saw 333 glowing somewhere in her path, as if heaven itself was reminding her, "You are not alone." One Sunday, she wandered into a small chapel she had never visited before. The priest was reading from the Gospel of Matthew, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." As he spoke those words, Anna felt as though the room grew brighter, her chest lighter. She remembered the train, the doors that had opened again and again in her dreams. Suddenly, she understood. The dream was her life. The train was opportunity, destiny, divine calling. And she had been standing still, out of fear. The numbers had been urging her to move. That evening, she made a choice. She applied for a position she had always felt unworthy of, called a friend she hadn't spoken to in years, and signed up for a class she had secretly longed to take. Slowly, her life began to change, not because circumstances magically shifted overnight, but because Anna changed the conversation she was having inside her head. Instead of whispering, "I can't, I'm not enough," she began to repeat silently, "I am guided, I am supported, I am ready." Months later, she looked back and realized the dream no longer haunted her. She still saw the numbers, but now they came as gentle confirmations, like soft nudges from an unseen hand, reminding her she was on the right path. The signs had never been random. They were the language of the divine, spoken through her own inner dialogue, echoing back in the world around her. Anna's story is not unique. In truth, it is the story of countless souls who live waiting on the platform, watching their destiny pass by, unaware that the doors are already open. Her transformation was not about luck. It was about listening to the signs, and most of all, to the voice within that aligned her with the unseen. And now, I want to turn the mirror toward you. Have you ever had a dream that would not leave you alone? A number that kept appearing no matter how much you ignored it? A sensation, a whisper, a moment that seemed too precise to be coincidence? If you have, I invite you to share it. Comment below with your story, your sign, your experience. I read them carefully, and in future videos, I may even mention yours. Because these are not just stories, they are maps of the soul, guiding all of us closer to the truth. But before we go further, there remains a deeper secret, one that explains why some people recognize the signs and rise, while others ignore them and remain trapped. The question that lingers is this: if the signs are always speaking, what force determines whether we step into them or stay behind? If numbers are the first language of the unseen, then dreams are the second. They are the secret stage where the spirit whispers what the mind is too busy to hear during the day. You close your eyes thinking you are resting, but in truth another part of you awakens, walking through symbols, faces and places that carry hidden messages. Think about how many times you've dreamed something strange, only to see it reflected days or weeks later in reality. A conversation you dreamed about repeats itself in waking life. A person you haven't seen in years appears in your sleep and then unexpectedly calls you. A place you've never visited feels familiar when you finally step into it. Most dismiss these moments as tricks of memory. But what if they are not tricks at all? What if they are signals, timeless messages encoded in your spirit? Ancient cultures never treated dreams as meaningless. In the Bible, Joseph rose to power because he could interpret Pharaoh's dreams, reading famine and abundance in the images of cattle and grain. The prophet Daniel explained to kings that their dreams were not random, but warnings and revelations from God. Even in indigenous traditions across the world, dreams are considered journeys of the soul, where wisdom is gathered beyond the veil of the visible. So why, in our modern age, do we dismiss them as nonsense? Because we've been taught to silence the hidden dialogue. We treat the dream world as chaos, when in fact it is a carefully painted mural. The second great secret is this: your dreams are mirrors of your inner dialogue, dressed in symbols. Just like numbers, they show you what your soul is speaking. But while numbers appear in the outer world, dreams open a window to your inner one. How can you recognize them? Pay attention to repetition. A single dream may be easy to forget, but when a theme returns, water flooding, trains passing, teeth falling, strangers guiding, this is no accident. The repetition is the spirit's way of saying, "This matters. Listen again." Now let me give you a practice. Tonight, when you lie down, whisper a simple question to yourself: what do I need to know? Say it 3 times, not with anxiety, but with openness. Keep a notebook or even a phone recorder beside your bed. When you wake, even if it is 3 in the morning, write down everything you remember, no matter how small. Do not filter, do not judge. Even a single word, a color, or a face matters. Here's the technique. Set intention before sleep. A whispered question opens the doorway. Record immediately upon waking. Dreams dissolve quickly. Capture them before they vanish. Look for patterns. Over days or weeks, you will notice repeating symbols. That is the coded message. Translate through feeling. Instead of asking, "What does a river mean?" in a dictionary, ask, "What did I feel standing at that river in the dream?" Feeling is the translation key. When you do this, something extraordinary happens. Dreams begin to respond. They become clearer, more direct, almost as if an intelligence beyond yourself is eager to be heard once you finally start listening. Some call this the subconscious. Others call it the soul. I call it the hidden dialogue, the place where your inner speech and the divine voice meet. Imagine this. You dream of water overflowing. At first you panic, thinking it is a nightmare. But when you sit with it, you realize the feeling was not fear, but release. Perhaps your soul is showing you that emotions long suppressed are ready to flow. Or maybe the flood is a sign of abundance breaking through barriers. The image alone is not the message. The emotion is. Anyone can do this. You don't need to be a mystic, a prophet, or a scholar. You only need willingness. The Spirit does not choose only a few to speak with. It is always speaking. The question is whether we are willing to listen and record. The beauty of this practice is how quickly it transforms daily life. When you begin to pay attention to your dreams, you notice they weave seamlessly with your waking signs. The number on the clock, the whisper in your body, the dream in the night, they are all parts of the same conversation. And when you honor them, you begin to feel something shift. You are no longer wandering blindly. You are guided. You are heard. Now ask yourself, what have your dreams been trying to tell you all along? That recurring place, that repeated face, that persistent symbol. What if it is the missing key to your present struggle? Because here is the truth. Dreams are not random movies. They are coded messages waiting to be unlocked, and when you learn to read them, your entire perception of reality begins to change. But I must warn you, there is a third sign. A sign deeper than numbers and more intimate than dreams. A sign so subtle, most people overlook it completely, even though it determines everything they create in life. And the mystery is this: if the universe speaks in numbers and dreams, what happens when the voice that creates reality doesn't come from outside at all, but from the constant whispers you speak to yourself every single day? There is a sign more profound than numbers on a clock, more mysterious than dreams at night. It is the one you cannot escape, the one that follows you everywhere, because it is not outside of you at all. It is the constant dialogue within, the words you speak to yourself in silence. This is the deepest truth. Your inner speech is the original prophecy of your life. Every whisper you allow inside becomes the seed of tomorrow. While others look for signs in the stars or omens in the sky, the greatest revelation is closer than your own breath. It is the voice you hear every waking moment. The hidden phrases repeated in the chambers of your mind are the blueprint of your destiny. Think of it this way: creation did not begin with the hands of man, but with the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The entire universe, every galaxy, every atom is vibration clothed in form. And what is vibration if not the echo of speech? The ancients knew speech is creation. But the most powerful speech is not what you say aloud. It is the conversation that never leaves your head. Have you noticed how often you rehearse pain? You replay arguments that ended years ago. You whisper fears to yourself before sleep. You tell yourself you are not enough, you are unloved, you are unlucky. And then you wonder why life seems to obey the script of your suffering. But how could it be otherwise? Your inner dialogue is a constant prayer, a prophecy declared without pause. Heaven hears it, the universe bends to it, and life, like an obedient servant, delivers exactly what you commanded in secret. This is why the chosen ones, the mystics, the awakened, all speak of renewing the mind. The Bible calls it putting off the old man and being renewed in the spirit. The prophets taught that blessing and curse are both born from the tongue, but the tongue of the heart, not only the lips. And modern science, in its own language, affirms it. Quantum physics reveals that the observer shapes reality by expectation. What is expectation, if not inner speech clothed in thought? Pause for a moment and let this truth sink in. You have been living inside the echo of your own words. The world around you is not fixed. It is the mirror of what you have been saying inside yourself when no one else could hear. And this is where the transformation begins. Because if inner dialogue creates reality, then changing it is the single most powerful act of creation you will ever perform. It is not about shouting affirmations into the air, but about weaving a new conversation inside. One of faith, vision, love, and certainty. Right now, as you hear these words, I ask you to breathe deeply and imagine what it would feel like to already be who you long to become. Don't beg for it. Don't chase it. Speak to yourself as if it were already true. Whisper silently, I am guided, I am loved, I am more than enough. My life bends toward blessing. And watch how the world begins to shift. This is why we created this space. this community of souls hungry for hidden wisdom. If this message is striking a chord within you, I ask you to take a simple step. Click like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Not because of numbers, not because of profit, but because each subscription, each gesture of support is a way of keeping this flame alive. It tells the world that these revelations matter, that they deserve to be spoken and heard. You are not just a viewer, you are part of this intimate circle where forgotten truths are remembered. When you practice conscious inner speech, something extraordinary happens. The signs outside, numbers, dreams, synchronicities, become sharper, louder, clearer. They align with the new dialogue inside you. It is as if heaven itself begins to echo your transformation, placing confirmations in your path like breadcrumbs leading home. But here lies the most breathtaking mystery. Inner speech is not only about shaping your personal life, it is about participating in divine creation. The same word that brought forth the stars now whispers through you. The same spirit that hovered over the waters at the beginning of time hovers over your thoughts, waiting for you to speak light into your darkness. Can you feel it? The weight of this truth? You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are carrying the same creative fire that God breathed into Adam when he gave man the gift of mind and speech. This is why the ancients called speech a form of immortality. Because when your words align with the divine word, you are no longer just surviving, you are co-creating heaven on earth. And yet, one final mystery remains. Because if your inner speech shapes your reality, then what happens when that dialogue no longer belongs only to you, but begins to align with something higher, something eternal? Everything we have explored together, numbers that repeat like a divine echo, dreams that speak in hidden symbols, and the sacred inner dialogue that shapes your destiny, leads to one unshakable truth. The universe has never been silent with you. Every sign, every whisper, every moment of déjà vu or sacred coincidence has been a call to awaken, to remember who you are and to recognize the extraordinary power you carry within. For too long, many souls have wandered feeling forgotten, convinced that life is only chaos and chance. They look at their struggles and see only misfortune. They whisper to themselves in secret, "Nothing will ever change. I am alone. I am weak." And yet, even in those moments, the signs keep coming. Like waves against the shore, they press closer, refusing to let us sleep through the miracle of our own lives. The truth is simple, yet astonishing. These signs are not punishments. They are not random. They are invitations. Invitations to rise, to shift, to awaken, to abandon the heavy chains of the old dialogue and step boldly into the life that is waiting for you. Think of Anna's story, or perhaps your own moments of mystery, the repeated number glowing on a clock, the dream that refused to fade, the voice inside you that whispered warnings or promises. None of these were accidents. They were the handwriting of the divine on the walls of your everyday life. And when you finally begin to listen, you realize that heaven has been guiding you all along. What would happen if you decided right now to answer that call? If instead of brushing away the signs, you welcomed them? If instead of feeding yourself with words of fear, you spoke life into your own soul? Imagine the shift, your mind no longer a battlefield of doubts, but a garden of promises. Your inner dialogue no longer a prison, but a prophecy of light. This is not fantasy. It is the mission of every awakened heart, to live as co-creators with the divine, to choose words of faith, hope and love, and watch them bloom into reality, to see signs not as curiosities, but as holy reminders that you are part of something vast, eternal, and beautiful. And now, I want to invite you into something greater, not just as a viewer, but as part of this community. This space was created with love, not for profit, but to share wisdom that has been hidden, to remind you that you are not alone in your search. When you click like on this video, when you subscribe, you are not just supporting a channel, you are keeping this circle alive, ensuring that voices of awakening continue to rise in a world desperate for light. And I want to make this personal. Leave a comment below with your name and the city you are watching from. Why? Because I will read them, one by one. And in the next video, I may mention your name, sending a blessing across the screen, so you know you are seen, you are remembered, and you are part of this sacred circle. Imagine hearing your name spoken aloud, carried into this community of seekers, a reminder that your journey matters, your story, your presence, your voice adds to this fire. Together, we are not just spectators of mysteries, we are participants. We are weaving light into the fabric of this world. So I leave you with this. The signs are all around you. The numbers, the dreams, the whispers within your heart. They are not here to confuse you. They are here to awaken you, to call you into the fullness of who you are meant to be. And if these truths have stirred something inside you, know this: we have only touched the surface. Greater revelations are waiting. Deeper mysteries are ready to unfold. The universe is not finished speaking, and neither are we.